For years, a small unnoticed hole dribbled water behind a cluster of ordinary trees on Provost Mountain, visible to only a few. But on August 18, 2005, everything changed. Gollum's Cave, a small hidden tunnel on the slopes near Seven Peaks and named after the sinister character from The Lord of the Rings, saw its quiet mystery shattered. What had once been a secluded haven for adventurers tragically turned into a submerged tomb, claiming the lives of 4 friends from Utah County. This is Fatal Tragedies, with the horrible story of the Gollum Cave Tragedy. Scott McDonald, 28, Blake Donner, 24, Jennifer Galbraith, 21, and Ariel Singer, 18, tragically died when they became trapped in a water-filled tunnel within the cave. Of the hundreds that went in there, then, suddenly, 4 people died and it changed everything. Jennifer's father, Chris Galbraith from Pleasant Grove, remembers. The incident, unlike a routine traffic accident, unexpectedly garnered international attention. Authorities quickly vowed to shut off access to this cave of death and similar sites across the state. The deadly cave was later sealed off by work crews. So what went fatally wrong that August in the blackness of that watery passageway soon to be a tomb? First things first, even though only a handful of people have ever laid eyes on it, Gollum's Cave overlooks a mysterious lake. On the evening of Wednesday, August 17th, a group of 5 friends gathered for dinner, their conversation drifting to a mysterious topic: a secret cave located on the side of Y Mountain, right beside the BYU campus. Known to some adventurous local students, this cave had a certain allure, especially since it had been fully surveyed by young cavers just a year earlier. At first glance, Gollum's Cave doesn't appear inviting. Its entrance is submerged under a foot of water, and the cave ceiling is a mere 4 feet high, compelling visitors to crouch as they navigate a nearly 100-foot-long tunnel through a shallow, flowing stream. This might deter most hikers, but for those in the know, the cave's secretive inner sanctum promised an irresistible challenge. The core of the cavern presents a truly exhilarating challenge. Those wishing to proceed must brave an 18 by 24-inch hole filled with chilling water. This daunting passage requires adventurers to take a deep breath and plunge into the unknown. For even the boldest among them, this is a profound moment, a raw encounter with the relentless, untamed wild. That night, fueled by a mix of adrenaline and curiosity, the group decided to brave the dark, unwelcoming confines of the cave. It was already 2 in the morning when they arrived at the cave's entrance. They lingered outside for a while, gathering their courage before stepping into the shallow, eerie tunnel. This is the part in a movie where you feel like telling the actor, "Don't try to do what you're thinking. It's a bad idea." Nobody likes a dead hero. But since we can't, let's just continue with our story. Jennifer Galbraith, who had navigated this watery passage before, played the role of the reassuring guide. She told her friends they would need to hold their breath and swim through a 15-foot underwater section to reach an inner chamber. Despite a chilling experience of hypothermia and passing out during her last visit, her enthusiasm was undimmed. Eager to share this hidden wonder with her friends, she led the way, her spirit undeterred by the shadows of her past ordeal. Blake Donner, Scott McDonald, and Ariel Singer all agreed to take on the cave's challenge, while their 5th friend, Joseph Ferguson, opted to wait outside until their return. Armed with just a single flashlight, the 4 approached the daunting hole in the cave floor. By 4:30 a.m., it was pitch black outside, adding a deep sense of isolation to their adventure. One by one, they mustered the courage to descend into the frigid, water-filled passage. They all watched tensely as Jennifer's head submerged beneath the water, marked by a gentle ripple, signaling her passage to the other side. And this was the beginning of their fatal journey. What they thought would be a fun discovery turned into a tragedy that would later capture international attention. The water-filled tunnel was as narrow as a refrigerator door, measuring just 2 feet wide and 4 feet high. One by one, Blake, Scott, and Ariel dropped into the icy depths, following Jennifer's guidance. Inside the water, a rope was anchored to a rock in the main cave, leading through the submerged passage, and it was tied to a piece of wood in the inner chamber. In such cramped quarters, the rope might have seemed unnecessary to lead back to the entrance, but the reality proved otherwise. And I know what you're thinking. How? Well, in the past, there was once a person named David Brian Lamprey, who was an expert when it came to caving, but his expertise almost led to his own demise. He went past the exit hole on his way back and got stuck in a dead end, surrounded by solid rock. He panicked and reached out to the ceiling desperately. Luckily, he found the hole just in time to escape drowning, where he gasped a lungful of water. If that doesn't frighten you, for me, just thinking about that narrow escape sends chills down my spine. A stark reminder of the danger inside the cave. Well, that day, all 4 friends managed to swim the short distance to the small cave, just 15 feet away. Inside, there was enough space for them to stand and move around a bit. The cave was about 6.5 feet tall, with a peak in the center reaching about 9 feet, leaving around 3 feet of air above the water. Meanwhile, Joseph sat outside, not sure how long his friends would stay inside. With no clear plan, he waited patiently. We can all say that that day, his guardian angel had done him a solid by not allowing him to enter the cave. After nearly an hour had passed, he decided to go into the cave himself, but when he looked into the watery hole, there was no sign of the flashlight or any movement from the group. Now, panic and impatience started building in him. By 5:30 a.m., Joseph was feeling unsure about what to do next. He reached out to some friends who knew the cave well, and then eventually called the police at 6:25 a.m. As Blake, Scott, Ariel, and Jennifer swam into the inner cave, they were probably feeling nervous and out of breath, their hearts racing with adrenaline. When their faces finally emerged from the water, they likely took a deep breath of relief. However, the air in this small space was bad air. I know what you're wondering. Why is it bad air? Did somebody eat garlic or have bad gas? Well, in caving, bad air refers to any air that doesn't have the normal 22% oxygen and 79% mainly nitrogen, with a few other gases at negligible percentages. Because this cave was stagnant and the water source was closed off, a buildup of carbon dioxide was very likely due to several factors. As visitors spend time in the inner chamber, the oxygen would gradually be used up, while carbon dioxide levels would increase. Additionally, carbon dioxide is known to accumulate in limestone caves due to erosion and seepage from plant decay. There was also evidence of candles being left burning inside, further reducing the available oxygen. With no airflow, carbon dioxide would have settled at a higher concentration at the water level, posing a significant risk to anybody trapped inside. Over time, there would have been a subtle evolution in the air quality within the inner chamber of the secret cave, unnoticed by the friends visiting it. Even if the cavers had only spent a few minutes inside, the diminishing oxygen levels would have affected their ability to think, move, and breathe, making the return swim perilous. Once inside, the reality of the situation likely dawned on them swiftly. They couldn't breathe properly and needed to leave immediately. However, with a small entrance hole allowing only one person to navigate the narrow tunnel at a time, Jennifer took the lead. Despite her best efforts, she couldn't locate the exit hole before her breath ran out. In the cave, where oxygen might have been as low as 10 to 12%, Jennifer found it hard to think clearly and breathe. With each passing second, her window to escape narrowed, threatening to close entirely as unconsciousness began to kick in. Holding tightly to the rope, she tried to find her way out along the dark tunnel, all the way to the exit. Unfortunately, she lost consciousness before she could find her way out and didn't survive the ordeal. The cave had taken its first life. Meanwhile, in the oppressive darkness of the inner chamber, Jennifer's friends remained unaware of her struggle for survival. They were enveloped in the suffocating air, oblivious to the life and death drama unfolding. just inches away. After waiting for 30 or 60 seconds, Ariel was the next one to exit the secret cave. The oppressive atmosphere seemed to weigh heavier with each passing moment. In an environment with oxygen levels of just 2 or 3%, every breath she took felt like a struggle against the suffocating grip of the cave's air. Her respiration rate doubled as she desperately tried to gulp down deep breaths before submerging her face into the icy cold water. With a final burst of energy fueled by sheer determination, Ariel propelled herself forward through the murky depths, her outstretched arms groping desperately for any sign of the elusive opening. The tension mounted with each stroke as she battled against the relentless current, her heart pounding in her chest with a mixture of fear and adrenaline. After a few feet in the narrow, dark tunnel, she came upon Jennifer's body. The sensation of feeling the body of a friend drowned would have been surreal and chilling. The passage, once thought to be clear, now felt claustrophobic and suffocating, with barely enough room for a single person to navigate through the tight opening. In this moment of panic, Ariel's desperation for air clouded her senses, blurring her awareness of her surroundings. She may not have fully realized the gravity of the situation, her focus consumed by the primal instinct to survive. She tried to move backward, at least to get back to where the other friends were, but all was in vain. She was consumed by the unforgiving, narrow, water-filled tunnel. The cave had taken its second life. Back up above, as Blake and Scott struggled to endure the prolonged exposure to the stagnant air, their senses dulled by the oppressive darkness, each passing moment felt like an eternity of torment. The tension in the air thickened as Blake plunged into the narrow, water-choked tunnel. His mind, fogged by the suffocating air he had inhaled, was driven by a singular urge to reach the surface and escape. But as he surged forward, the unexpected sight of Ariel and Jennifer, motionless in the water ahead, struck him with a chilling wave of panic. The stark realization that he needed to act swiftly to save Ariel added a frantic urgency to all of his clouded movements. In the cramped confines of the tunnel, mere feet wide and stiflingly tight, every attempt Blake made to maneuver around his friends or to propel them toward the exit felt like battling against an invisible barrier. The space, constrictive and unyielding, seemed to thwart his every effort. With the pressure mounting, the cold embrace of the water around him seemed to seep deeper and deeper into his bones. The cave had claimed its third life. Back in the shadowy depths of the inner cave, Scott awaited his turn, enveloped in an oppressive solitude. Time seemed to stretch into eternity as he grappled with the claustrophobic darkness and the dwindling air. Little did he know, the harrowing scene unfolding in the tunnel ahead would soon confront him too. Fueled by a desperate desire to escape, Scott finally made his move, only to find his path blocked by his friends. Overwhelmed and rapidly depleting the last reserves of energy, he too succumbed to the harsh conditions of the tunnel. The cave had claimed its fourth and final victim. Above ground, the rescue operation had kicked into high gear after receiving a call from Joseph. Authorities and rescue teams, upon arriving, wasted no time in addressing the dire situation. With swift precision, they pumped fresh air into the cave, battling against the clock to replenish the dangerously low oxygen levels. Simultaneously, they worked to drain water from the tunnel, creating crucial air pockets that would allow rescuers to navigate the perilous underwater route. As the water levels slowly dropped, the grim reality of the situation became clearer with each passing moment. Rescuers, their faces set in determined lines, pushed forward through the newly created airspaces. The operation, fraught with danger and urgency, became a race against time, a desperate effort to reach the trapped cavers before the cave claimed any more lives. Little did they know that those whom they were eager to save were already long gone. As soon as the water levels dropped even more, rescuers made a grim discovery: the lifeless body of Jennifer Galbraith floating just inside the tunnel. After hours of pumping, they found the other three friends, Ariel, Blake, and Scott, all together facing toward the exit hole. Through evidence, Joseph Ferguson's testimony, autopsy findings, and accounts from fellow explorers, we can reconstruct the likely sequence of events. Drowning was confirmed as the cause of death, shedding light on the tragic fate of those who ventured into the tunnel. It's difficult to grasp how 4 healthy young adults could drown within a mere 15 feet without air quality issues. These were adventurous individuals, aged 18 to 28, in the prime of their lives. Following the recovery of their bodies, authorities sealed the cave entrance with concrete to prevent further tragedies. And as we come to the end of today's video, we'd just like to say thanks for diving into this harrowing story with us. It's a stark reminder of how adventure can quickly turn into a fight for survival. What would you do if you found yourself in a similar situation? Share your thoughts in the comments section down below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay updated with more gripping tales and exploration. Stay safe out there and keep exploring, but always remember to respect the forces of nature and maybe, just maybe, carry an oxygen bottle with you everywhere you go.